Tonight we begin not with an answer. We begin with a question, the oldest question, the one that has never stopped being asked. Long before there were philosophers, long before there were temples or scriptures or self-help books, before anyone had words for what they were feeling, there was a person sitting beside a fire, looking up at the stars, and feeling something stir inside them that had no name yet, a feeling that their life was for something, that they were not here by accident, that somewhere inside them something was waiting to be used. We don't know who that person was, we never will, but we know the feeling because we have felt it too. Every ancient tradition, in its own way, has wrestled with this question, not because they didn't have answers, but because the question itself kept returning, deeper each time, more urgent each time. What am I for? The Hebrew scriptures speak of purpose in a way that stops you cold. The prophet Jeremiah records these words, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you," not discovered you, not observed you, knew you, which means your existence was not an accident. Your life was not a surprise. You were known before you were. And if you were known before you were born, then the question, "What am I for?" already has an answer. You simply haven't finished uncovering it yet. The story of Esther carries this same thread. A young woman far from home, living in circumstances she did not choose, told by her uncle Mordecai words that have echoed across centuries. Who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Purpose in the biblical tradition is rarely announced in advance. It is recognized in the moment. It arrives through the very circumstances that seem most unlikely, the exile, the difficulty, the place you least expected to be. For such a time as this, your story, including the hard parts, may be exactly where your purpose lives. The Stoics understood something similar, arriving from a different direction. Marcus Aurelius, riding alone by lamplight at the edge of an empire, believed that every person carried an inner nature, a logos that was theirs alone, and that a life of purpose was simply a life spent expressing it, not perfectly, not loudly, just faithfully. The Stoics and the scriptures agreed on this. Purpose is not manufactured, it is uncovered. The indigenous elders of many traditions spoke of it differently. They said every person is born with a gift, not a talent exactly, but something the community needs that only you can give. And the work of a life is not to find that gift, it is to stop hiding it. Because somewhere along the way, most of us learned to make ourselves smaller, to fit in, to be useful in the ways that were asked of us, rather than the ways we were made for. The elders said, the community suffers when you withhold your gift. Your purpose is not just for you. It never was. The Buddhist tradition speaks of dharma, your path, your natural way of moving through the world, not assigned from outside, recognized from within, like remembering something you always knew but forgot you knew. And then there is Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist, a prisoner, a man who lost everything. In the concentration camps of World War II, Frankl noticed something that changed how the world thinks about purpose. The people who survived were the ones who had a why, a reason to endure, something unfinished, someone waiting, something still to be done. Purpose, Frankl discovered, is not found in good conditions. It is forged in hard ones. It is not given when life is easy. It is chosen when life is not. And that is where we live now, in a world of extraordinary comfort and an epidemic of purposelessness. More options than any generation before us, more freedom, more information, and more people lying awake at midnight wondering, does my life matter? Am I doing what I was made for? Is this it? The ancient world would recognize this feeling immediately. They would not be surprised by it. They would say, yes, this is the question. It has always been the question. And then they would say something we have almost forgotten. The question itself is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is waking up. Purpose is not a destination. It is not a job title or a calling that arrives fully formed one morning. It is a direction, an orientation of the whole self toward what matters most, and it is chosen, not once, but again and again, in small, ordinary moments, in the way you listen to someone who needs to be heard, in the work you do with care when no one is watching, in the kindness you offer when bitterness would be easier, in the gift you stop hiding, in the time such as this, yours, unrepeatable, given to you, that you choose to inhabit fully. That person by the fire long ago, they did not receive an answer that night, but something shifted in them. The question had been asked, and once a question like that is truly asked, it begins to lead you, not to a destination, but toward yourself and the life that is asking to be lived through you, and toward the one who knew you before you knew yourself. You were not born without purpose. You were born before you found it, and that is exactly where every seeker has always begun.